I, therefore, the prisoner of the Lord, beseech you to walk worthy of the calling with which you were called, with all lowliness and gentleness, with long-suffering, bearing with one another in love, endeavoring to keep the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. There is one body and one Spirit, just as you were called in one hope of your calling.
Today, we're going to step back in time nearly 2,000 years to unpack an urgent plea for unity. Now, what makes it so powerful? Well, it wasn't written from a fancy office or a stage, but from inside a Roman prison cell. So let's dive right in. The message starts with this really powerful statement. The author, the Apostle Paul, he doesn't pull rank or use a fancy title. Instead, he just calls himself the prisoner in the Lord. You got to remember, in Roman culture, being in chains was the ultimate shame. But Paul, he flips that around and wears it like a badge of honor for his cause. Just that one phrase makes everything he's about to say feel so much heavier, so much more urgent. To really get what he's pleading for, we need to picture the world he's writing to. It's around AD 60, he's under house arrest in Rome, but his letter is headed to the believers in the massive, chaotic city of Ephesus. Now, on the surface, the Roman Empire was all about the Pax Romana, the Roman peace. They built roads, they had stability, they made trade possible. But right under that shiny surface, society was just a maze of invisible walls. There were these deep, bitter divisions between Jews and Gentiles, masters and slaves, citizens and, well, everyone else. It was a world built on strict social hierarchies. And Ephesus was basically ground zero for all this. It was this massive port city, a huge multicultural melting pot. It was home to the Temple of Artemis, which was one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, for crying out loud. And it was just buzzing with all these competing cults and religions. This city is the flashpoint of tension that Paul is speaking directly into. So into this fractured, chaotic world, Paul issues this really profound call. And to do it, he uses a powerful metaphor that everyone would have understood: the walk. When Paul tells them to walk worthy of the calling, he's talking about their whole way of life. The Greek word here is peripateo, and this isn't about earning some new status. Not at all. It's about living a life that matches the new identity that they've already been given. It's a call to make your everyday actions, your whole lifestyle, line up with who you now are. So how do you walk worthy? Well, Paul's genius here is that he shows it doesn't start with some big, grand gesture. Nope, it begins with an inner posture. A set of virtues that were just completely revolutionary for that time and place. First up, humility. Now, in a Roman society that was totally obsessed with honor, status, and climbing the social ladder, humility was seen as weakness. It was something for the lower classes. But here, it's totally redefined. It's presented as accuracy. It's simply having a right assessment of yourself. Talk about a countercultural idea. Next is gentleness. And again, this isn't about being a pushover or being weak. Think of it more like strength that's under control. It's choosing to use your power to build people up, not to dominate or crush them, which was a complete reversal of Roman ideas about power. And then there's patience. Man, this was the essential ingredient for community to even work. In these new churches, you had people who were former enemies, Jews and Gentiles, rich and poor, suddenly trying to do life together. Of course there was going to be friction. Patience is what makes room for all those imperfect people. It's just time stretched by love. But here's the thing. This was never meant to be a solo walk. Not even close. Let's see how Paul shows that these personal virtues are actually the foundation for a shared journey. Paul adds this amazing phrase, bearing with one another in love. This is so much more than just tolerating each other's quirks. It's an active thing. It means you're actively holding the community together when it's under stress, almost like a glue. Love here isn't a fuzzy feeling. It's the force that keeps everyone from flying apart. And this all comes together in what he calls the bond of peace. Now, this peace isn't just the absence of fighting. It's rooted in that deep Jewish concept of shalom, which means wholeness, completeness, everything flourishing as it should. And here's the absolute key. Notice that they don't have to create this unity. Paul says it's a gift they've already been given. Their job is simply to be eager to guard it and maintain it. Now, Paul doesn't leave this big call to unity just floating around as a nice idea. No, he anchors it. He bolts it down to 7 undeniable bedrock truths that make up their shared identity. This is the foundation they're supposed to be walking on. He lays out this rhythmic, almost creed-like list of 7 ones. You can just imagine it being recited out loud in their gatherings. It's basically an early statement of faith, a powerful reminder of what holds them all together, no matter how many social divisions were trying to tear them apart. First, there is one body. In a world that was sliced and diced into 100 different factions, Paul says, nope, you are all part of a single, unified spiritual organism. You're all connected. Second, one spirit. In a city like Ephesus, which was just jam-packed with competing gods and spiritual forces, this was a radical claim. One single divine presence is the source of life for the entire body. Third, one hope. Their futures aren't a bunch of scattered individual paths. No, they are all pointed toward a single, shared, glorious future that's bigger than any of their current problems. Fourth, one Lord. Okay, in an empire where everyone was expected to confess Caesar is Lord, this was a dangerous, politically charged statement. This was a declaration of their ultimate allegiance. Their true boss is Jesus, not the emperor. Fifth, one faith. And this doesn't mean agreeing on every little detail. It means a shared core trust and allegiance in this one Lord, Jesus. Sixth, one baptism. This was the single front door into the community. It was the great equalizer. It washed away all those social distinctions between slave and free, Jew and Gentile. There were no tiered memberships or VIP sections here. And finally, the climax of the whole list. One God and Father of all. In the polytheistic world of Ephesus, with its dozens of gods and goddesses, this was the ultimate mic drop moment, the declaration of monotheism that underpins everything else. So you see, these 7 pillars, one body, spirit, hope, Lord, faith, baptism, and God, they form the non-negotiable, unshakable foundation for this completely new kind of human community that Paul is calling them to live out. And that brings it all right back to us today. I mean, from a Roman prison cell to our own deeply polarized world, the call is exactly the same. The challenge is to walk a life that matches this call to unity, a unity that's not grounded in our own ability to agree on everything, but in these foundational truths.